Conservative Christians, we have a problem. But it's not because Amber Rose spoke at the RNC this week. It goes far deeper than that. You see, if you haven't heard of Amber Rose, she's a former stripper who got famous when she started dating Kanye West for a couple years starting back in 2008. And since then, she capitalized on her fame by being an avid promoter of promiscuity and even started the famous slut walk to honor women who have been judged for their sexual behavior, leading to several women walking around in the streets with hardly any clothes on, holding up signs like this. And this is why people were shocked to see her speaking at the RNC, talking to a room full of conservatives. But it's important to note that her actions and her views in the past doesn't mean that people can't change or that she can't change her views. In fact, a few of her views have changed quite a bit in the last few years, most notably her views on Trump and God, and both in ways that you might not expect, which also helps to show why we have such a big problem. So let's start with how her views have changed on Trump. In the past, she was extremely anti-Trump. She talked bad about him in interviews, made tweets about how he was a predator, and also talked about how he was racist and bad for America. But all of that changed recently. She changed her mind about Trump, which led to the most popular part of her speech at the RNC being shared.
The first person I knew who supported Donald Trump was my father. I was shocked. My entire family is racially diverse, and I believed the left-wing propaganda that Donald Trump was a racist. My father said, "No, he's not, Amber. What are you talking about?" And when I insisted, he said, "Prove it." So to prove my father wrong, I did my research and looked into all things Donald Trump. People have to do their research. I watched all the rallies, and I started meeting so many of you, his red hat wearing supporters. I realized Donald Trump and his supporters don't care if you're black, white, gay, or straight. It's all love.
Now, when I saw just how many conservatives were promoting this clip and talking about how great it was, it made me start to realize just how easy it is for so many of us to be a bigger fan of Trump than conservative values. And I say this because even though she's being platformed by the RNC and being promoted by a lot of conservatives, I can't think of any conservative values that she currently holds to. In fact, a lot of her current values seem to go against, at least what I thought were, fundamental conservative values. She still seems to hold to the same sexual ethics as she held in the past, such as being pro-LGBTQ, pro-sex work, and even still has an OnlyFans account that she's currently promoting following her speech at the RNC. And as far as we know, she's currently very much still pro-abortion, another value that most conservatives would say isn't in alignment with conservative values. In fact, she recently praised Satanists during an interview for their work in helping women to get abortions. Go ahead and listen to this clip from just a couple of months ago.
Satanists are just, they're atheists as well, but they're just more political.
Okay.
They have like it's actually a very rational, logical religion. They help a lot of people, a lot of women to get abortions in southern states that, where they're illegal. They help a lot of the gay community, the LGBTQ plus community. They're really great with that.
And this leads to how she changed her views on God over the last few years, leading to clarity about where she differs from traditional Christian values. According to Rose, she was a Christian until just a couple of years ago, once she had this realization about Christians.
A lot of Christians that I have met throughout my life, I found to be very delusional and liars. And so that's what initially started me into looking into atheism. Not to say that every Christian is like that, because I don't believe anything is a monolith. I realized that I was an atheist. I just believe in science. I believe in evolution. I don't believe that God, gave us Jesus as his son from a virgin mother. And I definitely don't believe in the Bible. I think it's like cool stories, but I don't believe in most of the stories in the Bible.
And in the clip, she also gave her new opinions on Jesus as well.
This is probably gonna make people really mad, but I believe that Jesus was a cult leader. And I believe that it actually worked. And they spread his word all around the world.
Jesus is a cult leader? Have you said that publicly before?
Maybe. Probably on my podcast.
Because I just felt the internet shake. Maybe that was God. Huh? Wait,
Jesus, that you?
Jesus is a cult leader?
Yeah. I think it's more likely that he was a cult leader, yeah. I mean, just think about it, Jason, you know? Live, you know, by my word, do as I say. I'm a selfish God. I'm, you know, spread the word around the world about who I am. And then the people around him were just like, you're crazy. We're going to kill you. Because you're like indoctrinating all these people into your belief system. Like, cults don't have to always be, you know, I mean, he had some good lessons along the way, but.
Not he had some good lessons along the way.
Now, of course, she's free to believe whatever she wants to believe. And as some have correctly stated, conservative and Christian aren't the same thing. I also don't have a problem with Christians and conservatives trying to reach people on the outside either. But platforming people like Amber to speak on behalf of the conservative or Christian movements when they don't share any of their values doesn't make much sense to me. And this is where I started to think about just how deep that problem really goes. Initially, I couldn't make sense of why so many self-proclaimed conservative Christians were happy to have someone speaking at the RNC who was pro-abortion. And then I thought about how Donald Trump is even pro-abortion in some cases, as we heard him clearly state a couple of weeks ago.
Women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion pill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it. Like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart.
Now, leaving aside how Biden and Trump weren't debating pro-life and pro-abortion, but only instead which babies are okay to terminate, makes me wonder if conservative values are shifting and what to. And perhaps more specifically, all of this has led to the question you may have been wondering during this entire video. What on earth does Amber Rose have in common with conservative Christians, if not conservative and Christian values? Well, the answer seems to be Donald Trump. Her affinity for Donald Trump is the only thing that she has in common with some people who consider themselves to be conservative Christians. And all of this should make you wonder, how much of the conservative Christian movement today is really more about defending Donald Trump than defending the Christian values laid out for us by Christ? And this is where we accidentally get into trouble. Once we start to unintentionally elevate a man who, just like you and me, is a sinful man, and elevate him and his morality above Christ and his morality. I mean, really think about it. How many of us Christians have been quick to defend his locker room talk and other sinful actions that Trump has committed, and doing so at the cost of compromising the Christian values and ethics laid out to us by Christ? And by the way, don't get me wrong, this most certainly isn't all conservative Christians, and I hope that that's clear. But the real question is it far too many? Well, if it is, then Christians, we have a problem. If you haven't already and you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button on your way out, as it really does help, and I'll see you guys in the next one.